Right. In the last session, we have talked about how changes in certain cultural formations change concepts, and how then, of course, certain words in the course of this change their meaning. We applied this to sports, which was a concept far broader in, say, Renaissance times than it is today, including every fun activity, and today narrowed to only those activities which entail a certain physical exertion. Okay, so culture and the changes of meaning. Okay, let's take it from here. And I would like to talk about sorry, I have to go back here, starve, about this verb starve, okay, which today means to die, of course to die from lack of food. This is what the OED gives you. Now, this word starve, it goes back to an Old English word here, sterfan, which means die, but die in general, not only die of hunger or something like this. Now, sterfan, which is the West Saxon, and in the north of England, certainly sterfan, just a monophthong, and in Middle English times, a lot of air words were changed to ar. So you have farm and farm, for example. Things like that. This is phonology. So starve is sterfan, sterfan. Old English meaning to die. So the meaning has certainly been narrowed today to this sort of meaning we have today. So how did this come about? The etymology is interesting. For those of you who like etymologies, starve means etymologically to be stiff or to become stiff. And it goes back to a prehistoric Germanic base, star, stare. Yeah? Starch, stare, they are related to this. We still have in German sterben, or in Dutch sterven, and in German we have the word starr. Starr means exactly stiff. Okay? All right, so becoming stiff. This is metonymic. Yeah? It has a metonymic origin insofar as being stiff or becoming stiff is contingent, if you like, yeah? Or has a certain contiguity. Contiguous is more the word. It's contiguous with being dead, because this is what will happen to us. We become stiff when we die. So this is the etymology of this. But, I mean, today we have the word to die, not sterfan anymore. In German we have sterben. It's still there, yeah, sterben, general term, in English narrowed. So die goes back to a Scandinavian word, deja, or something like this, which came with the Vikings, and meant to die as well. And so when the Scandinavians brought this word over, we had two words meaning the same thing. Sterfan and dejan, or deja, or something like this, both meaning to die. And if you have two words which mean exactly the same thing, one native, sterfan, one foreign, die, it's mostly the case that one of those two changes meaning. Either the meaning shifts, or as here, the meaning is narrowed or broadened, or something like that. But yes, meanings change. So it must have been this sort of competition of those two words meaning the same thing, that one of them, the native word sterfan, was narrowed to become die of hunger. Explanation. Let's try to explain this, and that's an explanation which is probably not as often advanced as I would like it to be. Generally speaking, if you have two words which mean the same thing, and you probably have to decide which word to keep in a more general way, a word which is more often used than the other one, then, of course, because it's the general term, you may want to pick the one that is easier to pronounce. Simply that. You pick the word which needs less articulatory effort in order to be spoken out, pronounced. Minimize articulatory effort, we call this. And mostly articulatory effort is connected with consonant clusters. And a consonant cluster is when various consonants clash. We don't like saying things like str or something like this, because this puts a lot of effort on our speech organs. And if you look at stereofan, so you have two consonant clusters. The first one, st, and the second one, ruf, ruf. And both of them, and then they have two syllables, which is already a lot of articulatory effort, because particularly English people, they like monosyllabic words. You know this. Most of the names are reduced to monosyllables because of that. Okay, Deborah becomes Debs, some of this. Okay, William, Bill, and so on. So yes, the English like their monosyllabic words, and they don't like consonant clusters, having reduced most of the consonant clusters in the course of the English language. Word like knichkne, well, completely gone. So that knorre became no. You see, that's the simplification. All right, so they don't like consonant clusters, they don't like polysyllabic words, and this means, die is quite a contender, because die, no consonant cluster here, just one diphthong, die, and so you have stereofan. Depends on how stereofan, how many syllables you count. Is it 3 or 2? I've written 3 here. Stereofan would be 3. Sterefan would be 2. Okay, give it that. But say polysyllabic versus one syllable, and then you go for the monosyllabic word. And this was die. So this is my explanation here. And then you have to narrow, the other one is narrowed down to die of hunger. Things like that you have often in English. The most prominent example I have here, children, which is or has been more or less replaced by kids these days. Children. Why? Because the word children, look at that. You have an affricate in the beginning, and then you have 3 consonants in a row. If you have the n, even syllabic, you have 4 consonants. Who wants to pronounce that? Kids? It's just like that. And by the way, a kid is a slang word. And that's another thing which happens to language. That slang words are taken over into the standard. Kids. A kid usually is a young goat, a child goat, if you like, for kids, and then was applied by way of slang to children. Oh, we have this quite often. Well, just imagine, you could just as well say to children, the calves. It's like that. In German, we still have this Kitze, Rehkitze, something like this, which is the offspring of a deer, for example, kids. But to cut a long story short, I'm sure that kids will, in the end, prevail against children, because it's a lot easier to pronounce, and this may have happened. It's just one explanation, which I may advance here, with sterfan and die. Okay. We come to that because I'm running out of time in the next installment. Okay.